What's up, YouTube? Eric here from Major League Trading, and in this video, I got a special one for you. It's another student interview, and we're going to be talking with Fareed, talking about how he was able to pull $108,000 from prop firms this year in 2025 so far. I had a really great time doing this interview. I hope you guys enjoy it. So buckle up, Buttercups. Here's the video. All right, guys, I am sitting here with Fareed, and he is a trader from Tampa, Florida. What would you say? Prop firms is the main gig?
As of lately, I've been kind of focusing more on props, but I still trade options. Options is probably my main focus with individual names.
Okay, sweet. Well, let's get into that. We'll talk about a little options. We'll talk about a little prop firms. At certain points throughout this thing, I'll go ahead and pop up. He sent me over proof of his payouts with a couple different prop firms actually. So we'll talk through those. Um, But just to kind of get started, give us a little bit of background on just who you are. Obviously, you're from Tampa, originally from Jersey, as we discussed, and then what got you interested in the markets, kind of that whole thing.
Okay, so my name is Faried. I'm a day trader out of Tampa, Florida. I was originally in Jersey, born and raised in Jersey. Ended up moving to Florida in about, I think it was 2015, May of 2015. I moved to Orlando, Florida. I had originally got into the restaurant business. My brother and I owned a couple of restaurants, and the small business burnout kind of kills the whole aspect of trying to make it a passive thing and try to, you know what I mean? Like our true goal of trying to make a passive income and use our money to make more money. But in the restaurant business, it's extremely hard to try to scale. We were able to manage to get up to four stores, and then it just became too chaotic. So I think it was around 2018, 2019, where I started looking at different avenues and different ways to make different incomes and whatnot. And I had came across couple different posts about day trading and whatnot. Had no idea what was going on, or what I was even seeing, but it's just the instant attraction to it and the instant like how you can make money using your money and learning a skill that is very hard and whatnot. And it kind of attracted me to it to a degree that I wanted to make money and I didn't want to be tied down to location. And at the same time, I didn't want to have to do the 9 to 5 or even run a restaurant business anymore. So the main thing for me was just trying to get away from the restaurant business and try to get into the day trading side. So
No
it was
employees.
yeah, the employees are a headache, the customers are a headache, just the overall the margins are tight. So it's just it just wasn't for me, even though it was successful restaurants, they were doing good numbers and whatnot. But even so, like if you don't have volume in the restaurant business, you're not making good money.
Okay. And so when you saw in 2018, 2019, when you started seeing some day trading posts, did you have any stock positions at that time, or it was like a totally, because like you're in Jersey, like I feel like you should like being that close proximity wise to New York, like you should have known about the markets in some way, right? Was there any long-term portfolio?
So around 2018, 2019, I think Robinhood started becoming a thing, and you would see posts about Robinhood and sign up and you get free stocks and whatnot. I don't know the exact date when I opened my Robinhood account, but when I opened the account, I had no clue what I was doing. I had no idea. It was just same plain and simple app. There wasn't much going on at that time. They gave me one shot stock in a company that was like $4 or something like that. And then like I'm starting to like trying to understand what it was. I think it was a steel company or something like that. I'm not 100% sure what it was. But I started looking into it and I'm thinking like, oh man, this is exciting. This is like, you know what I mean? This is the thing. And then I went down the rabbit around that time. I went down the rabbit hole. I think Bitcoin cryptocurrency started becoming huge back then. I think that was the first time it ran to like 20K, I believe it was.
Okay.
And I started looking into it heavily. I didn't at that point I didn't get invested into it. I started looking into it, started learning more about it, watched the movie Silk Road, and saw everything going on. And it was like I was kind of like wanted to get into it, but at the same time, like when you watch the movie Silk Road, you're like, holy shit, what's going on? There's a lot of like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of crazy shit going on. Like, what if I
Yeah.
lose all my money at once? You know what I mean? Like it was kind of a huge risk. But then as you start reading more and more, learning more about what the idea behind crypto actually was, the scarcity of it, the store of value, and things like that, I ended up buying cryptocurrencies before I really heavily got into invested into stocks. And I think the first Bitcoin I bought, I believe it was like 3,000, I think, or something like that. So it was fairly early. And then
You still have it?
I do, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Luckily,
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I still have some, yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. And then as I started learning more and more, I started taking started reading more and more books about trading and whatnot. It's just and the biggest problem for me was it was there's so much information out there. And this is, mind you, this is before the whole COVID thing. It's like you're looking at all kinds of different things where it's like penny stocks one day, you're looking at options the next day. I didn't know shit from fuck. Like it was completely chaotic. Like I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what anything was. And then like you see all these people talking about indicators, you're talking about 100 SMA, the 200 SMA, and I'm like looking at like a 5 minute chart. I'm like 100 SMA, like you know what I mean? Like but they don't explain to you like what strategy is. You were looking at a longer time frame, smaller time frames. It was just so around that time, it was really hard to kind of get a good strategy in place and to understand the psychology and the execution and all those things. So it was really hard for me. I think 2019 is when I took my first mentorship, I think it was, um, and instantly funded the account. I think at that time, like 5 or 10,000. It was strictly options, and I think I did pretty well at that time. I think it was if I don't remember, I think Boeing or maybe Facebook at that time was my first trade, and it was
Okay.
crazy. I made like 2 or 3 thousand the first trade or something like that. Obviously, on a $5,000 account, you're doing 50% of the account in one trade. Like obviously, you're over leveraged. You know what I mean? So it was just like I had no idea what I was doing.
You thought you were a genius though.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. I really thought I was like, damn, this is easy money. You know what I mean? Like this is pretty crazy. 2, 3 thousand and instantly like that. Like that's pretty crazy. And then from there, it was just like the instant attraction. There was like, this is it. This is all I want to do. I don't want to focus on anything else. And it's just, I went down the rabbit hole, read every book you could think of, volume, price action, like all these different books. And at that time, my main and only focus was on technicals, how to learn technical analysis. I never picked up a psychology book. I never even considered picking it up. I'm like, I don't need that shit. You know what I mean? Like I never went through those hard losses and whatnot at that point. So it's just like I go on Amazon and just order every technical book you can think of.
Okay. So first trade ends up working out well, and now you've got it mastered. You said you hadn't gone through those losses and things yet at that time. So let's talk about some of those as we keep going. What were some of those learning lessons, I guess, if we want to call them that, in terms of losses? What were some of those things? Kind of detour for a second and go like a psychology route.
So the first, I think it was like I ran that account from five to about 18,000. And then I think that was probably about, I would say 2 to 3 weeks or something like that. And then within like 2 days, I lost it all.
Okay.
The entire account. You know, it was mind blowing to me. So then at that point, it was like,
It didn't take long.
no, no, not at all. Not at all. It was pretty quick. Yeah. So at that point, I was like, I didn't know whether to be fucking pissed off, whether to be like happy, like or you know what I mean. Like I think it was more or less me running the business still at that point, still having the restaurants, and it was like the headache of dealing with that. I didn't even care about the losses. I'm like, yo, if I was able to take 5 to 18, like all I got to do is just learn what I'm doing, understand and get a better understanding of what I'm doing, and I could end up making more money. So honestly, it wasn't like it didn't push me away or it didn't make me not want to do it. It just made me want to go harder, to be honest.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so it's interesting because most people, I think at least the last like few people that I've interviewed, like a lot of them started that like COVID was like the big thing, like got them interested into it. But for you, it was like pre-COVID. So how did that, what was that like? Because now you've had a little taste of the markets, you've had a little taste of success, you've had, the 2 day account blown issue, if you will. And then COVID happens and like the world gets, basically shut down. So take me from that point. What was the progression from there?
At that point, I had read a couple books about the overall, I think the investing side, not the trading side, but the investing side. And I think they were like, oh, 20-30% pullbacks and you get a correction and blah, blah, blah. So I think it was, I could look it up. I think it was March, either 15th or 16th, when I think shit really hit the fan in the markets. Like
Hmm.
markets were down a significant amount. At that point, I just literally transferred a crazy amount of money. I think at that time for me it was a crazy amount of money. I think it was like 150 or $200,000 into my Robinhood account, and just started going on a buying spree.
Okay.
Literally like just buying. At that point, I think Tesla was like. So I had originally started having adding a little bit of money. I wasn't putting in a lot of money. I was buying Tesla. I think the first time I bought Tesla around that time was 2019, maybe 2020. It was like $900 a share or something like that. And I
Okay.
bought like 10 shares, I believe it was. And then I think at the second time I bought it, I think it came down to like 500, so I lost like 50%. I didn't technically lose 50%, but then I bought another 10 at half price. And
Okay.
then I started my one of my mistakes that I made is like when I started buying up stocks and companies and stuff like that, I wasn't buying growth. And I regret it to this day. I was constantly focusing on like the dividend stocks and looking at yields and stuff like that. I was more attracted to the yield side of it and trying to get dividend stocks and defense stocks and stuff like that, consumer staples and whatnot. And I didn't really think too much about tech because in my mind, I'm like, these are dividend aristocrats and these companies are going to start paying you every month and or every quarter or whatnot. And so I kind of focused heavily on that. One of the riskier plays, I guess you could say, I took was Bitcoin around that time. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think it was around that time where it hit like 3, 4 thousand or something like that. So I ended
Okay.
up buying a couple of them at that time. Um, but then at that point, I wasn't really fully day trading at that point. I think I was focusing more on investing and dividend stocks, stuff like that. So I think I kind of set myself up right as far as long term, and I started
Okay.
buying a lot of long-term stocks at that time. And then at that point, I feel like I started seeing more and more day trading. So then it kind of got me more and more interested. I started looking I jumped on the Discord bandwagon, jumping from one Discord to another and another, and then seeing all these people call out these crazy plays and stuff like that. And I think around that time I took a mentorship, which I think that we spoke about earlier was absolute dog shit. I spent like $5,000 on it. It was probably the worst investment I've ever made. Um, yeah, it was horrible. And then from there, I think around 2020, so 2020, 2021, 2022, I'm just doing absolute dog shit. At that point, I'll be honest, I was doing some really crazy shit. So that account, when I put all that money into it, that actually increased a crazy amount. And then I started doing really degenerate shit with that account. So that account was probably like, I want to say at one point maybe 5 or 600,000 in that account. And then my degenerate ass was putting margin on. So like I turn margin on and then I see buying power available 500, $600,000 because for some odd reason, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna make crazy amounts of money. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just invested at the perfect time. I caught the bottom. I did X, Y, and Z. Like, I'm the guru of all gurus. You know what I mean? So I'm turning margin on and I'm going ham. And then at that point, I think and it was really chaotic because there would be days I'd make crazy amount of returns, and then the next day I'd lose it all, and then I would make a crazy amount of money and then lose it all. So it was a huge. And in reality, I'd never really punched it into like TradeZella to see how much I lost. I never really wanted to see how much I lost. It was just something like I kind of wanted to stay away from because I think overall I was still net positive. So that was kind of one of the reasons like screw it, I'm already net positive. I'm up. I think from my initial investment like a couple $100,000. So I'm not really too worried about it.
Okay. So, and that was mostly all long-term stuff, right? At that point.
So once I got into the long-term positions, I guess those were like my cushion. I wouldn't trade those. I turned margin on and started trading with margin.
Okay.
And so like if you I'm sure you know if you have like I think 5 or 600,000, they match that and give you about 5, 600,000 dollars worth of buying power. So
Yeah.
like what I was doing is like I was using that buying power for like let's say it's like crazy stock plays like I think there was one where it was a huge position, and it was like I think it was called Eyes, Eyes. It was
Okay.
like I think they came out with some type of FDA approval. It was like a glaucoma medicine or something like that, and it was like huge gap up type of move, and I think it was trading around $2 or $3 at that point. And I don't think it's listed anymore. I tried looking at it a while back to see what that run was about and whatnot.
I remember the
I
ticker
think
though.
yeah, I think they got bought out or they merged with someone else, but it was an approval, like an FDA approval. I think I'm not 100% sure. It had something to do with glaucoma or something like that. It was something along those lines. And I had just started looking at like stock screeners and seeing people talk about penny stocks and you want to see a certain amount of float or a certain amount of volume pre-market and things like that. So, and that was one of those things that kind of had all those things lined up. It had the most amount of volume pre-market, had a huge 10% or something like that, gap up or something like that. So as soon as the market opens, I think I bought like 90,000 shares. It was like it was a crazy position. It was like and I have no idea what's fucking doing. It was like a $300,000 position or something like that, and it's like I don't know how to read a chart yet. I'm not really too like understanding. I'm literally all of my attention is on the 5 minute, the 15 minute, and the hourly. Not even understanding what's going on, but I'm like literally just 300,000 deep into this thing at like 9:31 in the morning. It just got this crazy gap up and it starts going crazy. It started running. And I think the first position, I don't, it was so, for me, it was such a heavy position that like I did, like as soon as it started going in my favor, I just cut it. I think I ended up making like 30 or $40,000 on that trade on the first trade. And then I'm seeing this thing just nonstop running. It's just constantly going up and up and up and up.
No, I know
And
where this
then
is going.
what's crazy is like I ended up getting it back in. And at that point, I think it was like I want to say like $2 and some change or something like that. And I got out for maybe like 40, 50 cents or something like that. And next thing you know, it's like $3, $4, $5, and it's just still going. So I'm like, fuck it, why not? So I get back in. Obviously, now with the same amount of buying power, I think I got in with like maybe 50,000 shares. Ended up actually making money on that trade as well. I think it was like maybe 5 grand the next trade. And then at that point, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I already made like 30 something, $40,000. Like, that's it. I'm done. And then what really fucked with me is the next day I wake up, it went from $2 to like $27. And
Yeah.
then the next day, I'm whipping out the calculator, 27 minus 90,000 shares. If I would have held, I would have made like 1 point something million. And it's just like, it really kind of got me the idea of like this is really scalable. This is something that if you understand how to do this and you do it the right way, like there's a lot of money in it. Because before that, you always see people talking about these crazy P&Ls and oh, I made X amount of money. Tim Sykes talking about $1 million trades, and I think it's what's the guy Warrior Trading talking about taking an account from like 10K to like 1 million. So it's like, damn, this shit's actually possible. Like that's not those are not all like bullshit lies. Whether they're lying or not, I don't know. But I'm seeing it firsthand and like being able to like witness it making 30, $40,000 instantly. It was pretty crazy to me.
So at that time, was there a strategy or it was just like
No, 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 not at all. Not even the slightest bit. I had maybe 20 indicators on my screen, every EMA you could think of, every stochastic on every chart, Bollinger Bands, and all
The
these things.
RSI and everything?
RSI, everything is on my chart. I kind of know what each thing means, but I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. It's just I don't know if it was for show. I don't know what it was. Nothing. I had no idea. It was literally all these Kettler channels and all these things, but there was no
All
strategy.
their channels.
Not a single strategy. And around that time, I didn't even understand trends. I didn't know what a 2 minute trend was. I didn't know what a 5 minute trend was. I didn't know what any kind of trend was. I would look at let's say for example the daily chart, and I'm looking at the furthest left candle, and then I'm working from the left right instead of working from the right left. Seeing at the most recent candle and looking at the most recent trend. I'm looking at all the way to the left a year ago, and it's like, what am I even looking at?
Uh, so I guess in that sense, we could say a little ignorance is bliss at that point because it was working, right? It was a news driven kind of you see something moving and you kind of jump in type of approach, if I'm to kind of
Yeah,
simplify it, right? So that's like 2021, 2022, right? And then from there, when did you actually start like being able to nail down like some type of strategy or having an understanding of what it is that you were wanting to see or looking for?
So around, I think it was 2021 to 2022, I had found a course which focused strictly on options and breakouts.
Okay.
And I'm not 100% sure. I think it was 2022 when the market started pulling back pretty significantly and pullbacks,
Hmm.
I mean, breakouts were not working. So like I'm sitting there forcing breakouts and trying to understand every single EMA on the chart, 9 EMA, 50, I think it was a 9 and the 12 or the 9 and the 14 they use or something like 9 and 21, I'm sorry. The 9
9
and the
21.
21 EMAs they were using like, oh, as long as these two churn and you get a little bit of a volume candle on the 5 minute chart, just go all in. You know what I mean? And they didn't really say go all in, but like that was my
Not
cue.
financial
Like, yo,
advice.
yeah, not financial, but you know what I mean? Like this, you know, and the next thing you know, you see a breakout and then you see a couple $100, couple $1,000 pretty quickly, and then instantly, boom, big red candle wipes all your gains and equity in the trade. And it's like, what the fuck just happened? And then at that point, you're like, do I average in? Obviously, my dumb ass averaged in, and not really understanding, like, yo, flip, you know what I mean? Like, the thing is hitting new lows constantly. But nah, I just kept averaging into it and just doing really degenerate, stupid shit. Like, everything that you're not supposed to do, I'm doing on a daily basis. And just literally just stacking on loss after loss after loss and just looking at it like, yo, what the fuck am I doing right now? Like, I was just up X amount of money. I just gave back 20 grand in one trade on a spy trade or something like that. And it's like, this isn't good. This is not
This
good.
we gotta change something here, right?
Yeah. So it was, I think it was focused strictly on 2022. I took a course. It was focused strictly on breakouts. And I think it was H patterns at that time. For me, it didn't work. It wasn't my style. It didn't really give me a deep understanding of the actual markets. 2023 is when things started to change and started to work in my favor. I took a rake trades mentorship. I think it was like April of 2023. And then
Okay.
at that point, I started understanding, and at that point, the market started rebounding, and it started giving me a deep understanding of how the market moves from level to level, how stocks move, and why they do the certain things that they do, and fully understanding actual market movement and how to read a chart properly. And that if something does X, Y, and Z, you know why it's doing that. So then at that point, I think it was 2023. I think maybe May or June of 2023 is where I actually started seeing a lot of progress. I started taking pretty solid trades and just over leveraging like crazy, to say the least. At that point, I had transferred money into a Thinkorswim account. It was small. It was like about 6 grand. Um, but like I at that point like I felt on top of the world. I had just taken a mentorship. I understand what's going on. I know what to do, what not to do, and just take the 6,000 to like 90 grand in the matter of like 2 or 3 months. And it was like, bro, no one could tell me anything. There's no way. I've mastered this. Like I know what I'm doing. And not understanding like market timing, not understanding once, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like they say in a bull market, everyone makes money. And I'm just full 100, 200 contracts every morning and individual names. And again, my main focus at that point was individual names. I had a pretty good understanding how the charts moved and waiting for confirmations of levels and waiting for signals to get me into the trade. And then what helped a lot also was the actual levels, understanding that stocks move from one level to another level, and then me being able to hold it to that level is where I made a huge chunk of the change. And at that point, I feel like if you could have just woken up and bought any stock that was set up on the hourly chart, you're making money. You know what I mean? It's like who, you know, it was just it was. I think it was crazy to say. It's literally the perfect timing. I had just finished up the mentorship. The market's ripping like crazy, and it was just literally from 6,000. I think it was like 90 grand or something like that. And then what stuck with me with Rake was pretty good. He's like constantly take money out, constantly pull money out. So I took from six to I think originally was 35K, and then 35K was like my account size. I wouldn't try to keep anything over that. I would pull out automatically.
Okay.
So at that point, I think I want to say June or August. is where I think that 6,000 account from 35, I kept pulling money out, and then I started taking heavy losses because at one point the market started going sideways. I started taking heavy losses. At that point, what I would take, what I would do is, like, let's say for example, it was $35,000 account. I'd start off the day with 35K, and if I lost 10K that day, I just transfer it back into the account. I wasn't thinking about like, oh no, I just thought like, oh, this is variance. It's just a part of the way things are. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can't get so strung up on one loss. And deep down I know that I'm not supposed to be sizing as much as I am. And I shouldn't be wiping out 35 one tenth of your one third of your account every day or even once a week. But it's just like whatever, I'll just make it back.
That's
You know what I mean?
that's
Like
not
sometimes
good risk management, is what you're saying?
no, 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 not even the slightest. Not even the slightest. It's horrible risk management. So at that point, I think what really helped me is like at that point, I really started focusing on psychology. I think
Okay.
I had read Trading in the Zone a couple of times up until that point. I started deep diving into the mental game of trading and learning about that and understanding the psychology and what it does to us and the things that you have to do to control the tilt and the fear and the greed and all those things to try to stop yourself from doing chaotic and stupid shit, basically. Um, so I started taking a deep dive. I think 3, 4 months into it, I kind of got better at with my psychology and I started going back into it and started focusing heavily on R multiple and
Okay.
putting a stop in place and understanding like, listen, if I lose X amount of money per day, I got to stop. So for me, that number was I think per trade, I was risking I think 1,500, and then I think either 3,000 or 4,500 was max loss for the day.
Okay.
So another thing was I would have a $35,000 account, but or at that point I was keeping 15,000 to 20,000 in my account, but I was trading based on a 50 to 60,000 dollar account,
Okay.
if that makes sense. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
so the thing is the reason why I did that was to keep myself safe. This is something I learned from Jake and try to keep your losses as low as possible. So worst case scenario, you go on tilt or something like that, you're losing I think it was 15 to 20% of your account or whatever it is. So instead of losing the full 50 to 60,000 dollars, you know what I mean? So it was kind of little things like that and like psychological things like that that would help me. It's like to prevent myself from going on tilt, to prevent myself from doing these things I had to put an extra layer of protection just so that if my emotions did get crazy that day, that you know what I mean, I have a cash account with only 15,000. How much damage could you possibly do? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Protect yourself from yourself at that point, right?
Exactly, exactly. And that's been my main focus ever since then. And ever since then, it's just been like, yo, like, listen, I know like I have retarded actions. I gotta do stupid shit. I'm a fucking retard at certain points. And I always say it in the Discord saying like I'm retarded, but it's not in the sense that like I'm retarded, like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. It's retarded in the sense that like I know what I'm not supposed to be doing, but yeah, I'd still do it. So that's why I say I'm like a fucking retarded when it comes to certain things. Like it's like, all right, you got out of a stock and it bounces back, and next thing you know, I'm like going back in heavier size and doing all these stupid things. So it's like I always have to have an extra layer of protection for myself to prevent myself from doing those stupid things.
Would you say that like I always say that like everybody's really good at one bad habit, and it kind of seems to be like there's this progression where the degenerate side of you is a little bit too risky. Like would you say that that's your bad habit, is like you have no problem with putting on too much size or too much risk compared to where you probably like quote unquote should be?
Yeah, yeah. I have a high risk tolerance, I could say. And what's crazy, I don't gamble. I don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't do any crazy shit like that. I've never gambled. I've never been to casinos. I never do anything like that. But for some reason, it's like I do have a high risk tolerance.
So what was the biggest single day loss?
Biggest single leg loss was probably on my I guess you could say long term account. I think it was like 60K in one day. I believe it was like 60. I think one day was like 60 something K. And it was around that 2022 time where the market's just getting tanked every day. And I'm like, oh no, this is too far extended to the downside. Let me just put in 400 SPY contracts, zero DTE,
It's got to
just
bounce.
doing. Yeah, it's got to bounce. It's got to bounce. And the next thing you know, you're like down 60K and you're like, what do I do? Do I hold? Do I add more? Do I, you know what I mean? Like, in a sense, to me, it's like you almost have like almost like unlimited funds. Like you have five or $600,000 worth of buying power. And at that point, the market had taken a pretty significant hit. And obviously that account took a hit with it because it was invested in my long-term portfolio. But I was still playing with the margin like a dumbass. I think, in all honesty, part of the reason why I never got margin called in that account is because of how like crazy sizing I would play. Like I would have crazy days, like 100K days on options and whatnot. Like I would have those crazy, like I would go in with like two, 300 contracts, SPY, QQQ, whatever it was, and catch massive moves to the downside. And next thing you know, my 500K account was at like 600 in one day. And there's no margin call. There's nothing, you know what I mean? Like I have a significant amount of buying power. And I guess the more cash you have in the account on top of the equities, the more margin they give you. So I think the highest at peak, I think it was like seven or 800,000 worth of buying power in my account. And that's a horrible recipe for disaster for me. Yeah, so it's like, and I mean, 60K is a significant amount of money, but it could have been way worse, I feel like.
What was the thought process? Was there like a what was the conversation you had with yourself in the mirror after that day?
Honestly, it was more or less like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you should know, like, this is insane. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not supposed to be trading on margin. You always hear all these crazy things. And one of the biggest issues I would say is actually using that account. That account was not supposed to be used for options
I was
at all.
I was gonna get there. We don't use that
Yeah,
anymore, right?
no, 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 no. I don't even. I honestly, I had to put extra layers of protection. Like I had that set up to my PC at my office. Like I don't have it connected to my phone. I don't know the password. It's an auto-generated password at my PC. So the only time I could actually log into that account is when I'm at my office.
Okay.
So like I have to create these extra levers of like protection just to prevent myself from doing crazy shit. And then it has a two-factor authentication process. So it's like I have to do those things in order to prevent myself from putting on crazy, crazy amounts of size.
Makes sense. You can still get to it. It's just a matter of it's a little bit more of a pain in the ass to get to it, which makes you it gives you that minute to like second guess it and be like, hey, should I do this or like should I not? Like,
Exactly. It gives you that time in between you get like you're looking at a play and thinking like XYZ is going to happen to you logging in, looking for the option contract and thinking like, bro, what the fuck am I doing? Like, does it even make any sense? Like, are you going to take two steps forward to take 10 back, or are you going to actually make some progress? You know what I mean? So for me, it was like putting those things to prevent myself from doing it. It's much easier now. I don't really focus too much on it. I don't really even have a thought like, yo, if I sized up 500K, like, you know what I mean? It's $500,000 position or something like that in options, like I could actually kill it. You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't even, at one point I was getting crazy thoughts like that. But then like, as I started taking psychology and risk more serious, at this point, it's never even a thought process to even go in so heavy.
okay, I like that. So we're into 2023 now, and you've taken Rake's mentorship, learned levels, learned trend and things like that, which previously was an
Non-existent.
yeah, an unknown. So kind of fast forward, I think when did you when did you end up finding MLT?
Rick used to always talk about MLT. I think for me, it was around May, May of 2024.
Okay.
So at this point, I would say 2024 comes around and I'm doing solid. I'm doing pretty good with options. Like I'm finding consistency. I'm making decent money on options. And then it's that shiny object syndrome where you see people posting all these huge payouts and 20 accounts with prop firms and stuff like that. In my mind, I'm like, yo, that's easy cash flow. You know what I mean? Like $40,000 a month per. Yeah, I mean, like overall per 20 accounts, $2,000 you're pulling out. Like it's easy money. You know what I mean? Like I don't like 40K a month. That's solid. You know what I mean? Like so I started looking at that, and then at the same time, my goal was to continue trading options at the same time. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have to go as aggressive. You know, so it was just like in my mind, the way I played it out, like it's a win-win. You know what I mean? Like I already know what I'm doing for the most part, on individual names. So at that point, 2020 comes around. no, 2024 comes around and I'm just like every platform you could think of. I've purchased a evaluation account from probably every platform you could think of. Some that you probably never even heard of. It's just the craziest platforms. I went with Apex. I went with Take Profit. I went with Top Step. I've done my funded futures. I literally almost every single one you could think of. And just at that point, like I'm making decent money. I'm probably making, let's say, 4,000 some days, 2,000 some days. Some days are nicer, six, $7,000 on the options account. I'm using dynamic risk where like my risk is 1,500, but like sometimes I'll go in with $5,000 positions. Sometimes I'm going in with six, $7,000 positions. So, and then sometimes you get those morning opening breakouts and whatnot, or you can catch 100% banker. You know what I mean? And but then at that point for the option side, I'll shut it down. And then at that point, I would start focusing on evals. Then and his eval. So coming from looking at the option side, I'm risking let's say 1,500, but I always focused on the 50K accounts.
Okay.
And then like so like
Were you doing this? Had you already taken the mentorship yet when you started doing prop firms or no?
so after Rake's platform, I mean after Rake's mentorship, I think this is like
Okay.
the beginning of 2024.
Okay. So
I started.
you haven't quite taken the MLT mentorship yet
No,
at
I
that
haven't.
point.
No, I
Okay.
haven't. No, no, no. So I'm like learning ES and Q and focusing on these things. I never touched Russell or Dow until I took MLT.
Okay.
That they weren't even on my charts. So that's another thing. It's pretty crazy. So I would focus strictly on ES and NQ, and it's like with Apex, you get a 50K account and you could trade 10 minis, which is literally insane. And all you have to do is one day to pass, and all you have to do is make $3,000, like easy. So I'll load up 20 at a time. And that was, and honestly, one of the biggest issues because it's like, just break it down, take five accounts and pass those, and then do the next set of five. Now, for me, it was 20 every single time 20. There was days where I would do five sets of 20 in a day, like literally 100 evals in one day. It's because like I'll go in and I'll look at the chart. I'm like, yo, it's gonna go down, and I wasn't even looking at levels, even though I should have been. It's just like every single candle, I would just go 10 minutes, short, long, and just doing all this crazy shit. It's like, and then the thing is sometimes they would hit. I would make 2 grand, right? Or let's say I make 2,500. I need 500 more. I'm still slamming 10 minis. Like, bro, just fucking take two minis or take three minis. Why do you know what I mean? Like, you need $500.
So it
Just
was max size or nothing, essentially.
exactly. It was 100% all the time. There was no in between. It was literally 10 minis all the time. And then it's just like I would piss away money, honestly. Like if I did the math, honestly, I'd probably wasted from 20 the beginning towards the end of 2023 to about I think I took MOT June maybe
I think it
or
was
May or June.
I think it was May. I looked it up a second
Yeah,
ago.
up
It
until
was
May.
it was mentorship 9.
Yeah, mentorship nine. Yeah, up until then, I probably pissed away 50K on evals with every company, Take Profit Trader, Apex, all of them. I think my Apex evals are at like 400 or something like that, number 400 or whatever it is. Is because I'm slamming 20 at a time,
And
and
so
then
had you taken a payout yet from anywhere?
not a single one, not even from one company. And the thing is like I would sometimes. So my thing was is the approach I would take is I would get the evals passed. As soon as I passed the eval, I would start trying to implement some type of strategy, try to implement some type of risk management and some type of strategy. But the second I took a loss, full size in whatever direction I thought it was going to go next. And obviously, you know, with Apex, the trailing drawdown kills you. You know what I mean? Like it was the worst thing.
Especially at 10 contracts.
10
It,
minis. Yeah.
yeah.
And then eventually I started sizing down. I stopped doing the stupid shit. I would take two contracts and whatnot and three contracts or whatever the case may be. But even though, like with the 50K account, you're looking at $2,000 drawdown and you're looking at $60 per point on three contracts. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
Doesn't take much.
Yeah, it didn't. It didn't. So the thing was, is at the same time, it didn't take much to pass either. If you look at it from that perspective, I would always try to see if I could just pass it in one day, especially the evals. The
Yeah.
evals were my main focus was like, yo, just get this shit done with one day. I didn't like in my mind, I felt like the longer I traded the eval, the more time I was wasting, the more time I was taking away from actually getting closer to payout. But in reality, like it was just taking longer and longer because I'm trying to force it.
Yeah.
So,
I
and
get,
there's been times where I've taken, let's say, for example, I think it was Take Profit Trader. Yeah, I had Take Profit Trader. I had $150,000 account, funded account, and I think I made, I swear I was like 14 or 15,000 with a trailing drawdown in a funded account. But then for some retarded fucking reason, I pissed it all back the same day. Just trying to catch like I catch the bottom, and it just like the whole 14K just disappeared. And in my mind, I'm like, all right, so 4,500 is the end of day a drawdown. Anything over that, I can withdraw. So I think I made like $14,000. I was aiming for like, let's say I think 10,000 to pay out for the payout to try to recoup some of the losses that I lost on evals already. So I take the next thing you know, I'm trying to like let me just get to 15. Let me get to 15,000, and I'm good. I'll request a payout tonight, take out 10K, and then just leave the 4,500 in there, and then just you know what I mean. Like
YOLO it, see what
eventually,
happens.
yeah. No, not necessarily YOLO get. I didn't have any intentions of YOLOing it. I was thinking like now I can create constant cash flow, so to speak, and just constantly take payouts every day. So even if let's say, for example, the individual names are not setting up, I can take a small scalp on a funded account, pull the money out the same day, and just you know what I mean. Like it would prevent me from trying to force and trying to push the needle so much on options.
Okay. Is it
So
was that the main that was the main thought process behind the future side then with props is that you can kind of take some of the load off of the option side and kind of shut that down and have the prop space to kind of be a little bit degenerate in. Was that part of the thinking or no?
exactly the thinking. So my thing was is like the leverage. Like if I can get 20 accounts with Apex, at that time I was looking at I think Elite Trader funding. That's 20 accounts. Then
Which
there
one was
was
that?
like Elite Trader funding. I think it's ETF or something like that.
I don't know if I know them.
Yeah, they also do 20 accounts, similar to Apex, minus that whole 30% intraday thing. They're almost identical to them, but I stopped using them because you hear all these crazy stories about people getting denied for payouts and stuff like that. So I just kind of stay clear of it.
Hmm. I'm
Um,
checking out their
so like,
website. I've never seen them before.
oh really? They're pretty like I think they kind of stepped up their game recently. I think they took off a lot of things like they wouldn't allow
Hmm.
dollar cost averaging. They wouldn't allow I think they called it martingale or something like that. They wouldn't
Oh
allow
yeah,
you like if you went on one contract and the next one if you took a loss, you couldn't go in with two contracts the next trade, or you basically lost the account or something like that.
yeah. Okay.
So they had these crazy rules, and then some new CEO stepped in and dropped all those rules and made it a little bit like, almost identical to Apex. And then, but then even after that, you hear all these crazy stories about people getting paid out denied and whatnot. So I kind of stayed clear from it. I stopped trading it. I never got a payout as well. Um, but my thought process was like, if I can go in with 200 bucks and get $2,000 worth of drawdown, and I can multiply that across multiple prop firms. Essentially, if I make 500 bucks, that's you know what I mean. Like it's a significant amount of money when it comes down to payout. So
Hmm.
my thought process was like if I can make 50, 60, 70, $80,000 from props per month, it would essentially I wouldn't have to not that I was doing bad in options, but it was like I'm not risking my own money. For me, it was like 200 bucks is the cost for $2,000. Like you as a trader know, like where are you going to get risk reward like that? You know what I mean? Like
The leverage is
so it was
insane.
exactly that was my main focus was the leverage. And in options, I still trade options. I like options. I think I'm better at options with individual names because I feel like they move cleaner versus the indices.
Okay.
Indices have a lot of fake outs, a lot of you know what I mean, like little shimmies that you as you like to call them in certain trades and stuff like that. Where in intraday like in options and individual names like when it gaps up over a level and comes back to that level and it's just ripping all day from there.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, you might get some slight pullbacks and whatnot, but it's in my opinion, it doesn't move as clean. The markets, the individual indices don't move as clean as individual names on certain days.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Especially earnings season, stuff like that.
Exactly, exactly. Um, so my thing was is if I risk $200 in my mind. I never looked at it like, oh, it's a $50,000 account. Like everyone tries to put all these stupid ass 50, oh, I'm $1 million trader, $1 million funded. Like, oh, you got $40,000 worth of drawdown. Relax. Like it's the stupidest thing. Like even with Apex, like bro, like they put all these crazy P&Ls up and post all this shit. It's like, are you really getting payouts or are you just chasing some big number? And for me, props is the only thing I focus on is the payout. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about running 20 accounts to 2 million, 3, $4 million. Like people have done it. Yeah, it's cool, whatever. That's for them. For me, is that I can get 40K to 80K per month from one prop. I'm happy with that.
I mean, who wouldn't be, right?
Like, I'm exactly, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't make any sense where people are like slamming 20 accounts and saying, like, yeah, I just made 4,000 today. It's like, no, you didn't. Or 40,000, whatever it is. Let's say $2,000 per 20 accounts to go, I made 40 grand today. It's like, okay, are you going to be able to withdraw that? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, it comes down to withdrawing the money. I don't care about anything else but that money hitting my account.
It's not real until money hits the bank.
Exactly. Exactly. So
So let's all right, so I did look it up. May 28th, 2024 is when you joined the mentorship. So up until that point, you're like 40, 50 grand into prop firms and you don't have Russell, you don't have Dow on your screen, right? So take me from there because at some point through there, if I'm understanding right, is when like the corner kind of turned on the prop firm space for you, right?
yeah,
Where
yeah,
was that? Where
significantly.
was that switch?
What's crazy is it took longer than that. So my thing was is I started when I took the MLT mentorship, I had a better understanding of how indexes work, how indices move, and a lot of fake outs and a lot of different things, and find the best entries, in my opinion. And what I started doing is after the mentorship, I didn't really focus too much on prop firms at that point. Is because I felt like I started taking psychology more serious, and then I looked at risk more serious, and I started taking less and less trades. I would focus on individual names, and I started taking less and less trades because in the mentorship you mentioned like these stocks are not in play every day. Like there's not a play for you know what I mean. Like it'll gap up over a level, but it will never touch the level. But you know what I mean. Like knowing how charts move, you know that that level needs to get tested. The market has to you know what I mean do certain things before it can do the next thing and
Mhm.
understanding how on the bigger time frames stocks move and how you look at that from intraday on the smaller time frames. So I started taking a lot less trades and I was doing really well. I'm still doing well from options because I started looking at stocks differently. I was like, all right, for example, Tesla, I know this thing on the higher time frames is looking nice. It's what you call it, but it needs to do X, Y, and Z on the daily or on the hourly in order for the next leg to start moving. You know what I mean? Like for the next leg to next move
Mhm.
to start happening. So like I would have a huge like I think it was like 20 stocks every morning. I would go through it. I would look at the daily, the weekly, and the hourly, and then I would find the relative strength names or relative weak names, and then I would look for names that are gapping up over levels, under levels, and look for trades that are basically easy like literally
Okay.
easy money. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't focus on every single little intraday candle and look for every single hit a level, automatically buy or sell. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like that. I would take a little bit of a more calm and relaxed approach, and I started seeing way more profits. I started on the option side. I started seeing more profits,
It's crazy how
but
that works, isn't
it's insane.
it?
It's insane. It's literally like you would think it's a conspiracy theory when people tell you that shit until you actually experience it yourself.
You can do less and make more money.
Yeah, it's like, bro, where else can you do that? You know what I mean? Like, you work less, make more. Sign me up.
Right?
Um, but I always, at that point, I always wanted to get into the prop space, and even at that time, I'm still running evals here and there, taking top stuff. And I think it was 2025. So I took the mentorship in May, and I strictly focused on options. And I think that year I made like 300K just from options. So it was a pretty solid year. I couldn't complain.
Just a casual
So
300K.
yeah, so but I mean even so, like I always relate my P&L, which is bad as it sounds. I always kind of relate it to those beginning COVID years. So it's like making significant, huge runs and having 100K days. So it's like, yeah, I guess, yeah, obviously, at $300,000 is still a lot of money. So I can't, you know, me be ungrateful or say it's not. But I always had that itch of getting into props, even at that, even still making that much money. Um, I think 2025 is when I started focusing a lot more on props, a lot less on options. No specific reason. I just figured it would be easier to obviously use someone else's money, and I looked at the leverage side of it. And by this time, I still haven't taken a single payout. To me, I haven't, I guess, so to speak, I haven't mastered the prop game yet. And when I started realizing, I think the first payout in props was, I think it was from Top Step. And where is it?
You sent me the screenshots.
Yeah, Top Step. It was
So April.
April, April of 2025.
Okay.
April 2025, I took my first payout. I think I was like 5,000 from Top Step, and from there it's been almost every single month. Every
Okay.
month, I get a better understanding how the markets move, the indices and the little shimmies and the things it likes to do before it makes the actual move. And then I fully kind of grasped and understood the concept because, like I said, I mentioned before, position sizing and options when I'm risking, let's say, $1,500, $2,000, and then on A plus setups, I'm risking sometimes $3,000, $4,000. I'm looking at that $2,000 drawdown in the Apex or any one of those $50,000 accounts, and it's like if you risk literally $200, that's 10% of your drawdown. So then I started focusing heavily on that. I would take only one contract. I would look for the most ideal, perfect entry, and then I would just I would stay clear of the trailing drawdown. The intraday trailing drawdown was my worst enemy. Because in all honesty, I think it's everyone. I think it's pretty stupid to get punished for winning for holding a winner. You know what I mean? So I would stay clear of it. I wouldn't really mess around with it too much. And I would focus mainly on minis. And I would take a trade, let's say for example, 700, $800,000, and then I would just shut it down. It would be multiple prop firms, sometimes one prop firm, whatever it was, I would make whatever I would make for the day and just shut it down. I wouldn't focus on the prop account. I would look at option plays. If I could see something, I would take a trade. If not, I would just walk away for the day.
So what was the outside of levels? And I'm not asking this out of my own curiosity. Do you use the divergence as well then?
I
Now
do.
that
I
you're
use the
using
divergence as more or less a entry to see if I can get into, for example, the bottom of the day or the top of the day on individual indices and just look specifically at um one index versus
okay.
trying to look at all of them. But if I see one of them is doing one thing and the other ones are not, then it's like, all right, this might be an area where I'm interested in getting into a position.
Okay.
So there's only like the main two things is like I don't take trades outside of either a divergence or a level
Okay.
or opening print. So I don't trade anything in between all the crazy chop and noise and stuff like that. I always focus mainly on levels or if a divergence sets up.
Okay. So pretty simple. I mean,
Yeah, I try to keep it as simple as possible.
okay. I like that. And then you sent me, I'll drop these screenshots and stuff in here. So to date in 2025, you've pulled out how much in prop for payouts?
In prop firms, so my first payout was in April from Top Step, and then till now it's been 108,000 in props, with a significant amount coming from Top Step and Funded Next. And what's crazy is the majority of that coming from the last 2 months.
Okay.
So I think it was what is it, August till October. It's like 85 or $90,000 just in the 2 months, just from two different prop firms. And that's no Apex, that's not the $40,000 and stuff like that. It's literally taking consistent payouts from those two prop firms and just try to implement small gains per day. And then as I see a nice setup, I'll risk a little bit more. And my approach to props is a little bit more risky. Is as soon as I lock in the first payout, after that I go a little bit degenerate mode. Where I'm risking, let's say for example, and I'll build a cushion in the account, but now I'm risking, let's say for example, when I first start the account out with the 50,000, I'll risk 250 per trade and then max loss for the day is 750, which is still even aggressive. It's a huge chunk of your account, but 250 per trade, I feel like is a little bit reasonable, especially when I mainly trade NQ.
Yeah, I mean, 250 bucks on NQ is what, 12 points, 12 and a half points.
Exactly. Yeah,
There's
12.
not
Exactly.
there's not a lot of room for error in that.
Exactly. Exactly. And the thing is what helped me a lot is before I took the MLT mentorship, I wouldn't really be able to find good entries. I wouldn't understand like if you get a lot of shimmies and you get a lot of like we're for example like we'll come down to NQ, let's say, and we won't touch the level, we'll front run it, but then I won't take the trade.
The
You know what I mean? Like
worst.
I'll it's the absolute worst, and especially when you see it run like the first time when we front ran 24 410s,
Yeah.
where we I think we hit 24 420 or something like that, and then we just flipped and just skyrocketed from there. And I'm like sitting there, and before if it was me, I just fucking full port 5 10 minis. And even like you know what I mean, like, and then next thing you know, I'm chopped out, and the account's gone. Now it's like, all right, did we touch the level? No. I mean, is it easy, solid risk to reward entry? Probably not. I mean, you got probably 40, 50 points till the level. And then, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to sit there and take a trade like that. It doesn't make any sense. So I would avoid it. And I would avoid any kind of trade that didn't get a level, it didn't have a divergence or something like that. If you didn't get like a decent 2 or 5 minute buy setup. And I would avoid a lot of that. And then at that point, what helped me a lot was being able to incorporate options and prop firms. So if I didn't see anything on the indices, I would look mainly. And my approach is I mainly focus on my options account and then props. So like in the
Okay.
mornings, I'm always looking at individual names, seeing if there's something there. If I see something there, I'll look to take a trade. But if not, I'll just stay clear. I try to avoid taking SPY and Q puts and calls and whatnot. I try to avoid trading options on that. I don't look at SPX anymore. Um, and it's for me, it's if I'm taking a trade on SPY or one of the indices, I'll do it on the prop. I won't really focus on the option side of it.
Okay. And you found that then is helpful not taking it in. So options is strictly focused on individual names, and then props is strictly focused then on the indices.
Exactly, exactly. Because part of the reason why is like, for example, I would take at one point I was doing both. So I would do SPY or Q or whatever it was, and then I would trade the props as well. But now if you take a loss, you're getting smacked both ways. And then for me, my biggest issue is accepting losses. That's one of the biggest hurdles I've always had, and even to now, I fight with it. And at that point, next thing you know, like let's say I'll have a $20,000 options account, but I sized it for as if it was a $60,000 account, and the next thing you know, like all that shit goes out the window, and I'm slamming 20K into whatever I see setting up. Anything that's close to a level, anything that's close to a buy setup or sell setup, and it's like boom, 20K into it. And it's like, bro, just fucking relax. It's literally, and sometimes it'll be on Mondays, Tuesdays. It'll be any day of the week. It's like, bro, it's the beginning of the week. Like, slow down. You know what I mean? Calm down. It's not. The market's not going anywhere.
There's still plenty of opportunity left in the
Exactly.
week.
Exactly. And the thing is most of the times, like for me, like I like to call them cash flow days on the props, where I'll make a couple $100 across 15, 20, 30 accounts, and just to create that cash flow, basically. So it would ease my mind. And a lot of the things, like even now, I battle with is emotional things that I have to control. Um, like for example, I don't have Thinkorswim on my phone. I can't have TradingView on my phone. I can't have the passwords to the props on my phone. Everything's at the office, and I have a MacBook that sometimes it's at my house. But like, if I take a loss that day, I'm taking that MacBook straight to the office and locking it in there. And I have a dedicated office, like I have to drive to. I rent the office space out just so I can, you know what I mean, like keep that separation between me being able to execute a trade at home versus having to drive 20 minutes, getting into the office, going and turning the PC on and do those things to prevent myself from doing all this crazy shit.
I like that.
Yeah, for me, and it's almost like, for example, like when I first started, like I would wake up 9 o'clock, roll out of bed, crusting my eyes, go downstairs, make a coffee, and I'm running upstairs to the charts. No execution in mind, no plans, no strategy, what I'm looking at, nothing. Just big candle bar, slam puts, or big candle bar to either direction, just slam calls or puts. Versus now, where like I treat it as a business and have to get in the car, wake up at a certain time, have a morning routine, go grab a cup of coffee, come to the office, look for my A plus setups, create levels, create scenarios, whether it's upside or downside, and just execute as soon as the market opens. And then as soon as I'm done, I have pre-workout, I have everything here. I go to the gym and then just call it a day.
Very nice. That was going to be my next question was essentially like, what's the, because we had a big like conversation the other day in the trade room just about plans and what that, like, what that needed to look like and the fact that you can't just sit down at the desk and start pushing buttons at 9:30. You need a plan coming into each day or even done in the like the night before, just on, I'm bullish above here, bearish below here, what I can and what I can't do. So that was going to be my next question is like that morning routine, which you just answered of, you know, it's the same thing every day. Get up, do your thing, get to the office, make your plans, scenarios, all that. Um, do you have a like a mental checklist? Is there any kind of like thing in which you can't like circumstances in which you can't trade under? Is there anything
So
in place like
for
that?
for for me, my main thing, I don't have necessarily a mental, which I should. But my thing is like if I don't get up at a certain time, I'm not going to make it to the office on time. You know what I mean? So like my office is about 30 minutes from my house. So I have to literally wake up at a certain time, take a shower, get ready, get in the car, go grab a cup of coffee, and make it to the office by 8:30. If I'm not
Oh,
here at 8:30, like I can't trade basically.
okay.
You know what I mean? So like I know like all right, I live 30 minutes away. It's going to take me X amount of time to do this and do that. By the time I leave the house, I'm not going to make it by 8:30, so I can't trade for that day. You know what I mean? So it kind of and then I have a PC at my house, but I don't have it set up. I have monitors, I have it all set, but I know myself because if I set that up there, I'm not taking that 30-minute drive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like whatever today's all you know what I mean? Like, but the thing is for me, it's creating that morning plan and that morning routine that allows me to be able to, I guess, find the consistency in taking the approach and making more serious, like, well, you got to treat this like a business. It's not you just get up and just start looking at screens and you know what I mean. So for me, in my morning routine, and I guess the mental checklist would be like I have to get here at a specific time, create levels, create scenarios, look for a play in the markets, and then I can take a trade.
So
And then
it's
for
not a
me,
hobby.
exactly, exactly. So I have to pay rent for the office. You know what I mean? Like I can't really treat it. If it was at home, it'd be different. I wouldn't take it as serious, like whatever. But I have a monthly rental payment I have to make here, which is not significant. But at the end of the day, it's like if I create the environment, if it's as a business or a workspace or as a job in a sense, I will take it more seriously. At the end of the day, I have to pay I have internet here. I have to pay for. I have rent I have to pay for. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things that I got to do to treat it as a business.
That makes sense. I like that. I've thought about that a couple of different times. Mine's more so been like wanting to buy a piece of property and put like a massive warehouse on it and, have it be the
That's
gym,
exactly
all the things and stuff in
that's
there.
a goal of mine as well to have a pretty sick garage built like not necessarily like a detached warehouse type style like and mainly to have a gym there, have my office there, have a couple cars, like a nice car collection and whatnot. That's like end game for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I mean, to some degree, that's kind of every guy's
Yeah,
dream
I
in a way,
agree.
right?
I agree.
For me, I'm kind of like I love that aspect, but at the same time, do you have kids yet or no?
No, I don't. I don't.
So at the same time, like I enjoy the fact that like because we homeschool and stuff. So like
Oh, nice.
I'm here every morning with them. So if I didn't have kids, the idea of having that office space and everything would be much more appealing. But like
Yeah,
that 30 minutes of drive time is like 30 minutes I get to spend with them in the morning. You know what I mean?
I
And like
agree. I
help
agree.
out the wife, get them breakfast, kind of all that thing. So I enjoy that aspect and having it in the house. But I do like at the same time, I do like that it's a not necessarily a job, but it's a scheduled thing in which you have and you have to abide by in order to be able to trade.
Exactly. For me, like I said, I have a huge emotional issue. For me, my emotions easily going on till easily fear, greed, all those things used to kick in. So I had to create a level of trying to separate and try to put myself away from that. So like for example, if I'm here, the gym's not that far from me. I have a gym that I go to that's close to my house, and I also have the same gym here. I go to LA Fitness, which if you have, I think, a certain membership, they allow you to go to any one of them. There's one close by. So what I'll do is like if I get into a trade, I physically like literally take my pre-workout, go straight to the gym, and like I don't have anything on my phone to be able to execute. I can't see Thinkorswim. I don't see what the markets are doing. I have to create these things to prevent myself from doing stupid shit. Because there's times where I'll have Thinkorswim on my phone. I'll get up and I'm thinking I'm doing something to prevent, like for example, like a lot of this comes from mental game of trading, where like once you start to see these things start to take over, or your feed or your greed or your things are starting to take over, to stop it in its track by physically getting up and leaving. You know what I mean? So the thing was, is I would do that, but the next thing you know, I'm in the car looking at the charts. Like, bro, what do you? I mean, what the fuck are you doing? You know, like you're not really doing any of that. You know what I mean? So like, there was. It's still even now. I still have days where I go on till where I have these emotions that what you call it. But I feel like I've gotten better at being able to control it by getting up and taking whatever I need to do, go to the gym, and not have anything on my phone, not having it set up at home at my house. So for me, it's much easier to do that and implement that instead of having everything easy, accessible, and very easy for me to go on tilt and cause all these chaotic losses.
There's probably a lot of peace in that.
There is. So a lot of times, like, well, the thing is, like, for example, like, I could never get a decent workout because I'd be glued to my phone. I would be on, like, let's say, for example, a Stairmaster, and I hate cardio. I don't like ever like working or doing cardio, but like, I'd be on the Stairmaster for like an hour, and I wouldn't even notice it. I'd be glued to my phone the whole time. I'd have Trade of Eight open and just slamming puts. I mean, slamming long, short, long, short, long, short. And next thing you know, like either I lost a significant amount of money or made a decent amount of money. But I'm on the literally the next thing you know, Stairmaster. I'm on there for like an hour. So it's like in order to keep, like you said, the peace of mind and not have to worry about those type of things, I would to delete everything off my phone, just have no access to the point where like I wouldn't even have the passwords. Like on Trade I have like auto generated passwords from my PC, and the MacBook I have on my house. Like unless I go in, hit auto, I forgot password, and have to do all these things to get to it, it just helps me create that extra level of protection.
I like that. All right, so last thing, you've traded with essentially, it sounds like every prop firm that there is, and probably probably some that haven't even been invented yet. You probably
Yeah,
already.
there was one, I think it was like Arctic Funding or some stupid shit like that. I think they started to try to focus on equities or something like that. I tried it. They had some shitty platform. I was like, I don't want to. I literally told them I asked for a refund. They said no refund. I was like, whatever, keep it, bro. I didn't even fail the account. I didn't pass it. I was like, screw it. I'm over it. But essentially, I honestly, I probably every single platform, every single prop firm.
So what's your favorite? What's your least favorite? And what are the reasons?
So for me, I would have to say the best, in my opinion, right now, the best prop firm is Funded Next. Funded Next, in all honesty, had this rapid account where they allow you to take a withdrawal every 3 days. They have a
Okay.
40% consistency rule. They don't have any windows. They don't have anything like that. I don't even think they have a set profit target. They don't like you don't even have to hit a specific number. You're able to withdraw. I think I personally trade Funded Next the 50K rapid accounts, and you're allowed to trade six accounts, basically 300K worth of capital. So either three 100s, six 50s, or 12 of the 25K. For me, the six was the easiest and the one that made the most amount of sense. They have the 1 day to pass, and I think you have to hit profit target of 3,000 in the eval, and then after that, every 3 days you're able to take a withdrawal.
So
And
I'm looking
then
at their site now. So it's daily, it's maximum loss limit based on an end of day. So there's no intraday trailing.
exactly, there's no intraday trailing, and that's one of the significant things is the fact that they have the end of day trailing, and they don't have the intraday trailing where if you make 500 today in the day and you lose, you're basically like go from $2,000 withdrawal to 15 down to draw down. That was a little bit easier for me because I like to hold my trades a little bit longer, especially since from the mentorship it allows us to be able to execute and hold for longer, bigger moves. And for me, like Apex is probably hands down the worst. Honestly, I mean, yeah, I like the fact that you could trade 20 accounts and it's nice, it's easy leverageable. But my biggest concern and issue is like, all right, there's one aspect of you being able to execute and you know what I mean, like with such thin drawdown and all these things and being able to get to the point where you're able to pay out. And there's an extra level of like, all right, if I do reach that goal, are they going to pay me out? That's my biggest hurdle. That's not that necessarily that I've experienced it, because I've gotten to the point where I'm able to withdraw, but I always end up doing some stupid shit and blowing it up. And I honestly, lately, I think the last time I got Apex accounts was probably the beginning of 2025. I haven't really done it recently. I thought about going back into it since I've been actually seeing some progress and doing much better with the um prop firms. I was thinking about signing up and trying to do 20 accounts and taking a stab at it to see what happens. But for me, I don't like the trailing drawdown. I don't like the fact that they have after the trailing drawdown, I think it's 2,500. They have this unrealized profit drawdown or something like that now, where it's like a 30% if you lose. Let's say, for example, you're
Oh,
in a trade. I think over the trailing. Let's say you make 25. Let's say you're $3,000 that day. The beginning of the day, your quote unquote drawdown is $750 or something like that. It's 30% or something like that.
I do
And it's
remember
like,
that.
yeah, that was like the nail in the coffin for me. Like I can't do this shit anymore. I gotta sit here and then play the guessing game after 8 days, whether I'm gonna get paid out or whether they're gonna tell me no, you have to wait till the next window. It just for me it was like, why not go with a company that's gonna not care about all that stuff as long as you meet their requirements, you follow their rules, and you're able to pass and reach that level, they'll pay you out. There's no questions. There's no, oh, am I going to get my payout? On the next, I've never had an issue. I've never had any issues with verification. I never had any issues with getting a payout. I put in the request. It's less than 24 hours. I get my payout directly to my Rise account, and it never had an issue. Also, another thing I like with Funded Next is after the fifth payout, your account becomes uncapped. Your withdrawal amounts become uncapped. So for the 50K accounts, you're able to take out 1,500 per account. And then
Okay.
once you reach the fifth payout, it's uncapped. So I recently took out, I think, close to like 16 or 17,000 just between two accounts because they had reached the fifth payout, and I was able to uncap them, and I took out the 16 or $17,000 in one payout
And then from
off
there
two
you can
accounts.
open new accounts.
You can also open new accounts, and I think I don't think they have anything where the only thing I think that is when you go live, I'm not 100% sure what happens if you fail. I think you're still able to purchase more accounts and continue to trade with them. Versus, I think there's some companies. I think Top Step once you go live with them, or I think Tradeify once you go live with them and you fail the live account, that you're no longer able to trade with them.
Okay.
So I like to keep myself away from being transferred to live. I think the two accounts that I had with Fund the Next where they were uncapped, I think it was like 2 months that I trade them. And I think it was like one or two red days out of the 2 months or something like that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, but they still didn't transfer me live. I just ended up taking everything out of the account instead of getting transferred to live. I just thought it just made more sense. Like I'll just go and get six accounts again and just run it back up.
Fair
My
enough.
my goal is not to go live with any prop. I don't see any benefit for me personally. I don't know for anyone else. For me personally, I don't see any benefit. I go from, let's say for example, let's say for Fun and Next, I go from six accounts to one account. The whole reason why I'm doing this is for the leverage. You know what I mean? Like if I could have
Yeah.
six accounts, I make $500. It's 3,000 a day, and I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's barely any stress. Worst case scenario, I'm all in cost. I think it's 135 with any specific code they use, code MLT. I think you have a code with them now.
I'm working on it. Yeah.
Okay,
Hopefully
okay,
so.
but I think it's $135 after. There's no activation fee, nothing. So 135 times six is what, like 800 and something. Let's say $900. You
Yeah.
essentially get two times six. You get $12,000 worth of drawdown. So worst case scenario, I mean, you get the first payout for me, which is usually $9,000, and 9x my investment. You know what I mean? Like so, you can't beat that.
So
I mean,
you only have to be able to do it one out of every nine times basically to
yeah,
be
but
break even at minimum.
exactly, exactly. And the thing is also I think with them I pulled out like 60,000 in the matter of 2 months.
That's what I'm looking at the screenshot now. 60,380.52.
Yeah, and it's only a matter of the 2 months, I believe. Yeah, I started with them in August till now. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, Mr. Farad, did I say it right?
Fareed. Fareed.
Fareed. Shit, I told you I was gonna do
It's all good, bro.
that. It doesn't look like it should be Fareed.
Bro, growing up, I've been called crazy here. Faried, Fareed, all kinds of things. But yeah, I'm over it by this point.
I thought I had it too. That was the bad part. I thought I had it.
A couple times you mentioned in the morning live streams, and I'm like, it's Fareed. I would say it to myself, and I would be so tempted to type it out, but then it's like I have to spell it wrong in order for you to understand it. I have to spell Reed versus Ried.
Like I feel like I don't even know how I would want you to spell it for it to sound the way in which
I
you want
think
it
if
to
I
sound.
spelled it Fareed,
That would help me.
yeah, if
That would
for it
help
to be
me.
Fareed instead of a lot of people spell it. So it's not a common name, but people that do have it, they usually spell it Farid. And people pronounce that Farid or you know what I mean. Like
Oh yeah,
it's
that
they totally butchered.
I would 100% say that is fairy. Because if there's if there's no D on the end of that one's fairy to me. I wouldn't get that one either. Oh, well, I've enjoyed it, man. That was
Yeah, definitely. It was a great chat.
yeah, for sure. So I'll leave a couple links down below in the description for those of you that are listening and want to check a couple things out. Um, do you want me to put your socials or anything? Do you have, I don't actually know if you have
I'm
socials,
not
do
I'm
you?
not on social. I'm not really on social medias. I'm in the Discord, the MLT Discord. So if anyone ever wanted to connect, I guess just join the Discord, and then from there just
Subtle
reach out.
plug.
Yeah, yeah, right. It's basically Fareed K is my Discord tag, I guess you could say, or whatever it's called. But I'm not on social media.
Okay,
I think
well, fair enough.
that's another chaotic thing to another rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah, yeah. We could spend another hour on that one.
Yeah, right.
Any final closing thoughts or quote or something for the people? Words of
For me, the
encouragement?
best thing, um, finding a strategy and being able to execute with controlling risk is literally your main and only objective. Is in my opinion, in trading, there's three pillars. There's risk management, there's strategy, and there's execution. And then once you have those things in place, trade what you see, not what you think.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's quote I've read. I forgot what book it was out of, but I think it's Dr. Steinberger from SMB Capital. He's always he's preached that quote a couple times. But trading what you see versus not what you think is, in my opinion, if once you understand how price action moves and you understand how to read price action, there's no need to predict it. You know what I mean? Like you're literally just trading what you're seeing versus what you think. A lot of people think, oh, I think this is going to happen. I think that's going to happen. Like, for example, I'm not going to lie, like with this market, I don't know if you noticed, I played a lot of shorts recently. I'm like, yo, we're going to, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to
You
go down a
did.
lot. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, so it was more or less like I would have the thesis of the short side, but I wouldn't trade what I thought. I would wait for us to get under a level. I'll wait for a lower high or a failure pattern to even, for me to even think about executing. And I mean, I remember, I think it was 2 days ago where I think you mentioned going long while I was short. But you know what I mean? Like I had confidence in my
Yeah.
strategy and my thought process. And I'm like, yo, like worst case scenario, I'm wrong. I take my stop loss and then be done with the day. And I think I mentioned it. I'm like, yo, listen, if these shorts don't work, I'm done on the day. And being
You,
able to do that,
you took the lower high, I took the potential higher low.
exactly,
It was in that
exactly.
it was in that sweet spot where we were breaking one way or the other there.
But I don't know if you noticed, my initial thought was the 15 million buy setup failure. I was
Yeah.
playing the anticipation of that 15-minute failure. So for me, like in the strategy that you teach, my main and most of the strategy that I focus on the most is the failure patterns. For me, the failure pattern work the best, and they're the most simplest in the sense that like they work instantly.
Okay. Fair enough. I
Yeah.
like it.
So if I the one quote I would say is trade what you see, not what you think.
I like it. I like that one. Well, Mr. Fareed, I appreciate your time. And
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure.
yeah, likewise. We'll have to run it back next year and see where you're at. See if the prop firms are still letting you take advantage of
Let's hope,
them.
right?
All right, guys. Well, if you
All right.
enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, comment, like, subscribe, all of those fun things, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.